let's talk about Java data type. So, you can say this is variables. So variables are used to store the content that you use throughout your program. So these variables are called when you write a variable, you have to put the data type of that variable. Suppose we have written like int x is equal to 10. So x is the variable of data type as a int, and the value of that variable is 10. So if I write something here, there is something called declaration, and there is something called definition. So what is declaration and what is definition? So declaration is when you say something, data type and variable name is say int x. This is the date, this is the declaration. And when you assign some value to this, say x1 equal to 20, this is something you have defined your variable. So declare doesn't provide your value, any value, and when you say definition, it gives the you will assign some value to that. Same time, in case of methods, when you say declaration, this is nothing but something you say that void and say method 1 and do like this. So this is something you are declaring the method. In a class you cannot declare a method like this. I will tell you later why and what you can do. What you can do to declare a method. So this is the way you can declare a method. So to define a method, defining method with method, say name of the method is method, and you have to open and close the curly braces. So this is the way you will define the method. So you have to understand the difference between declaration and definition of the method and variables. Say for example, in this class the main method is defined, my own method is defined, method is defined, but this method is declared. This is separate thing that we cannot declare like this because of limitation of the class structure at this time. So let's comment it. So this is the way you will declare and define the method and variables. Coming back to the data type. So data type is used to store your content in your program. So there are two type of data types. One is primitive and then one is non-primitive. So primitive are the data types which primitive are data type like byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. So these are the data type which are not the object. So the difference between primitive data type and non-primitive data type is about the location, how they are stored in the memory, how the values what you use variable as a primitive data type, how do we do the storage of those variables into the memory. That's the only place where it makes a difference. So I will tell you memory model when I will go further, like where primitive data types are stored and where objects are stored. Those things I will tell you later. So at this time you understand that there are two types of Java data type, primitive and non-primitive. So primitive are these are like primitive. So byte is signed integer and the size of 8 bit. The size means, and default is 0. So default 0 means if you don't give any value to that variable which is type of byte, it will be by default 0. So it is 8 bit. So 2 to the power 8 is 128. So it will start minus 128 to 127. So you can write any value within that range. So let's take the example of byte here. Let's create one more Java class to understand this better. So primitive type. So let's write one main method to test it, whatever I will use. So in main method let's use byte b. Let's write system.out.println. In Eclipse, what you can do, this is shortcut. What you have to do, just sys out and put control and space bar, and that will write system.out.println. So what I want to print is byte b. So the value of byte variable b. Let's see what it says. It is in Eclipse you can see that this will give the compilation error while writing the code itself. So it said local variable has to initialize. So in this way we cannot print the default value that. So what we will do, we will initialize to. So it is the range is basically minus 128 to 127. Let's try to give some value in between. So I have given 100. So if you run this program, you can see the value of this, that is 100. Let's try to give 1000. So it will give you compilation problem. So it says that cannot convert into byte because the range is more. So if range is more, it will go to the next level of data type, that is int. So you have to give in that range. Suppose you are giving minus 100 and run this program, you'll see minus 100. Say minus 1000, you cannot provide. So this is how you can use the byte. Byte is used when you are using very small numbers, that is in this range. So no need to use the integer or very other higher range data type. Next data type is short. Short is used, that is signed integer, and it is 16 bit. 16 bit means 2 to the power 16, that is 32,768. So it can take minus 32,768 to 32,767. 0 is already included. So on the positive side it will be less than 1 less than the range of maximum range of 16 bit. So let's use the sort. Sort is again data type sort. I have to give the data type as anything else. So let's try to give this range is uh, 2 की power 16, so the range will be like 30 to 768. So if I give 32 768, on the positive side you can give till 7. So this is how you can provide the, should know the range about that. You should be remembering all these concept, what is the range of each data type. So you can print here as the value of sort variable. I'm running it. So this one, so if you are giving more than that, so it will take to the next level of data type. So what message it can say, that cannot convert into short, so it should be within range. So minimum range is minus 3 to 768, so you can use it. Let's try to add these two values, s plus b. So if you are giving 100 here and 37, what you can see is the value is added value, you can see over here. What will happen if I store this one, sort total is equal to byte variable plus sort one. So you can see that the total of these two is more than the range of sort, so it will not do that, it will not add it. But why it is adding here? Because it is converting to the suitable data type. So when you add it, it will look for the suitable data type, that is integer, because I have not forced to use any data type. Here I have forced to use data type as short, so it will fail. So let's use it int. So if I using it int, I can do total. Once you run it, you will get the same result, right? Let's move to the next data type, int. Int is again signed integer, so that, but the range is huge, it is 32 bit. So 2 की power minus 32 to 2 की power plus 32 minus 1, so 2147 483648 to 2147 483647. So this is the range. Anything within this range you can provide it. So let's play with few example. Let's give int I is equal to something number, till this it is fine, till this it is fine. So this is not okay, this is not okay, this is also not okay, this is also not okay. So till here it is okay. So if you add more, it will not. This is the maximum things. Maximum things means you can give this the value to one. So you can give 214748367447. So that value you can provide. So the range is this is what I have used the range. You can print it out. Let's give vector the value of int, that is I. So once you run this one, you will see the integer. So if you want to add something, this to again this, you can see the added value. Let's try to add more. So at some extent it will say that it is keep on adding. So the value which is added here, if I use same value to store it into integer, I can do that. So till the time it is in integer range, int range, you will be good to use it. Next is float. So okay, sorry, next is long. Long is again signed integer and is much more than, it is double of int, so it is 64 bit, so it is very high range. So whenever, so it depends on the use case, how much, what is the range of data you want to store and manipulate into the Java code. So based on that you can use it. This is a type of integer. So these are where you can give the signed integer, type, byte, short, int, long. These 4 data types is used when you are trying to use something signed integers. Float where it will come when you are handling with decimal values. So float is default is 0.0, that is 32 bit, and double is 64 bit. So these two, float and double, are used when you are playing with decimal values. So based on your range you can use it. If it is huge you can go for double, otherwise you can go for float. So let's do something with float and double. So I will say float f is equal to 2.334. You see some compilation problem here. What it says? It says that cannot convert from double to float. So if you are giving any value in case of float and you are not you are just giving like this, it will try to understand that you have given a double, and double is bigger size than float, so it cannot convert to a smaller size. So to force it, that saying that no, it is only float, what you need to do, you have to end with character f. So this is your float. If you are not giving f, it will be treated as a double. So what you can do, you can use double here, double D. Variable name you can give anything, any logical name that you think. So this is the double, and float if you want to give, so you have to say something, whatever value, you have to say f. Now you can print it, those values, if you want. I am printing value of float and double and float. So I will say double is D and float F. So let's run it. So value of float is 2.334 and float is value of double is 2.334 and float is 2772.237. So this is how you can print. What will happen if you try to add total of double and float? So that is basically you are trying to do D plus F. Let's print it. So the value of total is this one. So if you see D plus F 2774 and it is having a lot of decimal values. It has a lot of values after the decimal. That is because when it is implicitly trying to add the float plus double, which will come as double. So suppose you want to add float, say F1 is equal to D plus F. What is happening here? It says that cannot convert from double to float, and it means that when you are trying to add here, it will convert the additional total value into double and show you. So what you need to do, here you cannot, this will be not understand the expression. So you can downcast this float value, the total value of this D plus F. So suppose you want to print value of F1, that is F1. Let's run it. This is 2774 plus 571. So if you see the difference, this D plus F, this one, and this D plus F, the difference is the values are different. So first one is giving a lot of values after decimal because it is a double convention, but here you are giving just 571, and because that is you are giving in terms of float, you are downsizing to as a float. So these are the differences you can see when you are trying to use multiple data types and mixing the data types with byte, short, integer among them and double float among them. Let's see another data type, character. Character is Unicode character, so that is always 16-bit. So default value is /u0000. So let's play with character. So let's give char. So you saw that these are the Java keywords: byte, short, int. We are just using it. So at the end of whole session, you will realize that you have used almost all the uh, keywords of the Java. So character is another keyword. So that is a primitive data type. Let's see, char c is equal to, let's try to do just char c, and print it the value of c. So here it is same problem. You have to initialize the variable. What will happen here? See, you are saying c is nothing but you don't have any value here because you have given 0. So it will look for the any character where ASCII value is 0. So let's give some character to this a. Okay, you cannot give something like literal. So because this denotes a string, this one you cannot provide. You have to give with a single quote. That's your character. And because character is always length of 1, so you cannot give like this. You cannot mix the two characters. So if you want to give two characters, you have to use a string. And remember that string is not primitive data type. It is not a keyword. Let's do one thing. Let's char c1 is equal to b. Let's do one thing. Let's say c plus d. Sorry, c plus c1. So here you are trying to do the arithmetical addition of c and c1. So if you are doing arithmetical addition, it will take the ASCII value of a and ASCII value of b and add it and then show it. So if you can see that the value is 131. So if I want to see what is the value of ASCII value of c, what we need, I need to say int c 65. So 65 is for c, that is a. So next one b will be 66. So addition will be c plus c1 is, say for c1 it is 66. So once you add it, I'm going back, it will become the addition of ASCII value of these two characters. Before moving ahead, I will tell you something on this println again. So when you are, this is the string, and then to concat two outputs you have to use plus, and whatever you are writing in the parenthesis, that is expression evaluation, it will evaluate everything first what is there in bracket. So that is a kind of a highest precedence while doing the expressive evaluation. So c plus c1 will be calculated first. So and this calculation is always kind of a numeric calculation, unless you provide some sorts of like string concatenation. Again you can do that. So that's what I wanted to tell you. Understand this operator overloading part. So this for concatenation, and this is for arithmetic operation. Suppose you want to use this plus C1, so it will give you value of A, B. So you saw that when you use this operator along with your println statement, this will be concatenation of your string value of that variable. So this is how you can do. Suppose here you are doing D and F. So D is this value and F is this value. Let's see what is the result. So it is value of D and 2.334, and sorry, let's give some. I don't want to give the string value, so let's try to understand the output again. So it is 2.334, that is your D, and 2772.237 is your float value. But if you trying to add this one, that way we have done here, it will give the total value of that. So understand how you are doing the operator precedence. So now we are good to move to the next one. Next one is Boolean. Boolean is primitive data type which is used to denote your true and false values. So if it is not given anything, it will be by default will be false. So 1 bit used in 32-bit integer, and there is no range actually, and the size it used only 1 bit. So let's play with Boolean. Say B, and by default I need to give anything. So the value of Boolean variable, that is B, let's run it. There is some problem. What is that problem? Oh, the variable name is duplicate because I have used for the byte also. Let's use some other variable, say bool, and print the value of bool. So if you run this program, it is coming false. If I give true, it will be so it will be true here. Now let's play with bool plus true plus false. What will happen here? So again you select, like it is printing the value of bool, then in concatenating the value of true and concatenating the value of false. So if I want to see the result of this bool, so here plus operator cannot be applied on the Boolean, so you have to give the logical operator here. So you can say that bitwise operation you have to give bool and true and false. So bool is nothing but true and false. So you might have done this kind of exercise in your engineering program, so where you have two kind of operator, and an or operator and or operator. So if you have A and B two sets, and what will happen, operator and result. So if A is true, B is true, and operation is or operation, then result will be true. Similar thing if I try to, so second one, if both are false, one or operator, then will become false. So if it is one is true and other one is false, and operator is or, so it will become true. Same time, if this is so if A is false and B is true, then it is true. So it will become, in case of or, true if any one is true, right? And false if both are false. So in case of AND operation, what will happen? An operation is AND, true and true will become true, false and false will become false, true and false will become false, and false and true will become false. So what you can see the difference here in case of AND and OR operator. So in case of AND, true if both true, right? And false if anyone false. So what you have seen here both, in case of AND operation on the 3, so there is one of them is false, so answer should be false. So if I use this one as true and giving I want to club it, so true and false, as I said, anything in parenthesis will be executed first. So true and false will, true or false will become true, and true will become true. So the result should be true. If you see here the false, there is some comment Eclipse is showing. What it says? It says to remove. Why? Because in case of OR operation, if it will look for true value, if first one is true, of course anything if we do the OR operation, that will become true, because it will be true if anyone is true. So if it is first one is true, no need to look for the second one, so it will become the true. Suppose you are giving false, so it has to look for the second one. So in that case you will not see that kind of warning to remove it. So that's the difference you can do when you are doing the programming. What kind of, this is kind of smart programming, what kind of variables you need to put, when to write what and when not to write something. So based on the some logical thinking you can decide on that. So we have played enough with logical data type, that is the Boolean. So here you saw that there are four kind of data type. One is integer kind of data type, then float kind of decimal kind of data type, then character kind of data type, and then logical value kind of data type, which is Boolean. So these are the primitive data type. Next one is non-primitive data type, which are very huge area. So you can say that any data type which is not primitive is not non-primitive data type. So the list is very huge. So this is some example. So Boolean, character, math, process, number, integer, long, float, double. These are the classes basically. So and all the classes in Java that extends from object. Object is kind of a super class which are extended by every class in Java. There is no any single class which doesn't extend object. So object is super class for every class in Java. So here you can see that we have already learned int and all those things, int, character, float, long, double, everything. So here you will see that integer class, long class, float class, double class, Boolean class, character class, again here. So these are the classes, these are not primitive data type. So any class which are built, which are extension of your primitive data type are called wrapper classes. So wrapper classes are class which are extending your primitive data type capabilities. So all the like other classes, these classes also extend from object. So we have seen all kind of primitive data type and non-primitive data type. So let's go to the summary to what we have done so far. So we have understood our main program better. We have understood our spacing and the punctuation, curly braces, parentheses, when to use period, when to use comma, when to use bracket, when to use curly braces, all those things we have covered. We have gone through editor. We have understood that Notepad is good for beginners because it will help you to remember the syntax. Once you get little bit confidence, you can move to some standard IDE. So in my course I will use Eclipse because I have to do some quick programming to show you something to learn you better. But I recommend you to use Notepad initially. We covered Java keywords and few of them we shown that how to use that. There are a lot of keywords that we still need to look into that in our course. And data type we have covered: primitive data type, non-primitive data type, and APIs. We understood that where to see the APIs and what is the purpose of APIs. APIs are very much important. These are the documentation that you should look into that in that site or whatever possible ways I have shown in the Eclipse also. So bottom line, you can go to any API, you just think about a class when you use it and try to go through that API documentation to understand the capability of each method, what it does. That will help you to write the better code, to think about better solution about a problem. So these are the resources I have used to find out the details. There are few exercises. Let's try to do that. Is null for string default? So string is null is default, yes, but not in terms of a string double quoted. So it just a null, no double quote. So is true for Boolean default. So true is default value of Boolean. No, it's false. Is int Java is a keyword? Int, capital Int is not a keyword. Only small int is a keyword. Is virtual Java is virtual is the Java keyword? Yes, we are not using Java. Doesn't provide virtual concepts, but virtual is a Java keyword, but later it was removed. So you can say that no, it is not a Java keyword. Okay, so we have something called primitive arrays. So arrays, I saw that I have shown you in our program, where in happy learning we saw these are the array, how to write the array. So there is a kind of, I will tell you later about multi-dimensional array. So just for example, you can say that say x2, you are giving two-dimensional array, new int, size of 5 and size of 5. So it will make something structure like this. So you will say 1 2, let's give some less length, 2, so it will horizontal and it will become vertical. So 3 4, if you want to give 3 by 2, so it will become like 5. So it will become like 3 rows. And 2 columns. So first one shows how many rows and second one shows how many columns. So this is two-dimensional array. So you can write more dimensional, but this is the one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays are enough to use in Java. Okay, so let's do some more exercise. Invalid array. So in this case, int, while defining the int array for integer, you cannot give the literals. That's wrong. So it's wrong. Second one is like the way you define, that is not the way. You should use the curly bracket. So this is also wrong. In case of multi-dimensional array, it is not multi-dimensional, it is single dimensional basically. So this is also wrong. So when you say int my list and giving 437, so yes, this is correct way of defining your int array. Reserved keyword, method is not reserved keyword, native is kind of reserved keyword, subclass, reference, array, these are the not keywords. So invalid keyword, interface, string, float, unsigned. So invalid is float is invalid, only interface is the valid keyword. So here, so we have gone through most of the topic. So this is all about this video. We will cover more on in your next videos.